Our education system was designed in Chicago in the late 1800s to produce factory workers, because it was set up when rural people were migrating to the cities en masse, because their kids, first of all, were likely to get factory jobs, and second of all, if you were working in a factory, your kids needed to be taken care of. And so the purpose of the schools was to train factory workers, which is why everyone's lined up in rows and why there are bells. It's a factory model. The problem with that is that now people's careers basically have to be self-determined, but that's never part of the education system. Part of the reason I developed these programs was because I realized this is the same course where I'm teaching students that if they would have been in Germany in the 1930s, they would have been Nazis. I'm trying to get them to design their lives, and it's way better to have someone articulate their own plan. You actually neurologically rewire people by having them formulate their own thoughts, which is why, your school teachers used to say, put it in your own words. It's actually very good advice if they would explain what that means. It's like, if you have to conjure up the thoughts and you have to articulate them, then they change you.
It's really disconcerting to someone who has children. Mm-hmm. And you know that your children are going to go there and they're going to be exposed to these ideas.
I think that.
Wow!
I think
a guy who used to teach at Harvard just says send him to trade school.
I think the universities. I think you can make a reasonable case that the universities do more harm than good now. I hate to say that.
Well, this is a strange time where access to information is so incredibly easy. You could educate yourself seemingly endlessly online. And with books, and there's so much information available. This is not the 1930s. It's not a time where it was difficult to get an education outside of a university.
The universities may have, or the university, which is like the repository of human wisdom and the attempt to expand that, may have already moved outside the universities. Just because an institution calls itself a university doesn't mean it is. And many disciplines have turned into ideological factories. And so where's the university? I mean, the university is where anyone wants to learn about their culture and where anyone wants to expand the domain of human competence. And a lot of that's happening online now. So maybe that's the future. The only thing the universities have now, I think, that people can't get elsewhere is accreditation. But they're doing everything they can as fast as possible to make their accreditation valueless anyways. So, it's a terrible thing to say that the universities may do more harm than good, and I haven't come to that conclusion lightly.
Well, there's
I hate to say it.
I'm sure you do. There's also a gigantic financial stake, the amount of money that you're...
Well, this is especially the case in the U.S. I mean, one of the things that's happened over the last 30 years is that the proportion of university expenditures that's gone to the administration has massively increased. And at the same time, the student loan burden has increased. And so what's happened in a weird sense is that the administrators have conspired to steal the future earnings of their students. And then you can't declare bankruptcy. So to me, it's indentured servitude.
But you can't declare bankruptcy on student loans.
Right.
That's a very important distinction.
That's right. You cannot declare bankruptcy on student loans. So you think about that. You tell me what difference there is between that and indentured servitude.
There's not much, because it's the only thing that I can even think of where that's the case.
Corporations can go bankrupt.
Right.
They do it all the time.
Individuals can. Businesses can fail. You can be deemed incompetent or not capable of paying your debt in every other case, but not with universities.
Yep, right.
That is crazy.
It is crazy.
It's crazy because they were just trying to combat the issue where so many kids were defaulting on their student loans. They try to make you perpetually responsible for it, or, the idea is that these kids have to learn responsibility. Is that the way to do it? By overcharging them for some useless education?
Well, I would also say that it's not particularly useful to burden your citizenry with a massive debt as soon as they graduate at a time when they're most likely to take entrepreneurial risks.
Yes.
You're not going to take entrepreneurial risks if you're so burdened with debt you can't get yourself off the ground.
Yeah, and we're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt with people that if you're lucky, you're going to make, what, $40,000, $50,000 a year straight out of college? If you're lucky. So you're dealing with the amount of money that you would have to make if you didn't pay any taxes or didn't have any expenses. You'd have to work for 4 or 5 years, longer than you would actually be in college to get that degree in the first place. It's insane. It's insane.